Welcome to the Some Laugh podcast.
It could be like, oh, that was some laugh, or there was just some laughs.
Well, no promising all laugh.
No, there's going to be some.
It's some laugh. Okay, we're back, and today I'm joined by returning guest comedian Stuart Mitchell.
How are you? All right?
Yeah, good, mate. Thanks so much for coming back. Enjoying the Scotland tap today.
I know. I feel like I'm in a Habitat advert.
I know. It does sort of. I think the first time we were here, we joked that we were in a DFS.
It looks good.
It is bad though, because I don't know if you do this, because we've spoken about this before. Like comics do this with gigs all the time. When you go into a pub or something, you go, you could run a gig in here. Now, like, whenever I see like DFS and like, you see a few couches, you're like, I could be a podcast. You can do a podcast in that.
I wouldn't know about podcasts anymore.
Well, of course. Well, you've recently ended your one with Raymond,
Yes.
Glasgow Da.
Yeah, I lost contact with my father. So for a second time. But I've lost two dads. But no, I think yeah, we just it ran its course. I think we were on different paths, and
Yeah.
we decided just to call it a day, really. But no badness there.
No, totally. Like, that, it was a good run. Because how many episodes did you end up doing?
I think we ended up doing about 86.
That's
episodes.
fine. And then you've done hundreds of live shows and all.
We've done loads of live shows as
Yeah.
well, and I think it was just the time, and I felt as if it wasn't really moving the pin for me.
Yes.
In terms of the time I was putting in, and also playing the straight guy just didn't work for me.
I know, that is a
didn't
tough one,
think-
because with somebody like Raymond,
Aye.
like, you're always going to need to be that foil, aren't you, I suppose.
yeah.
But let's just go on it, Stuart, because talking about moving the needle, I mean, nobody's been moving it more than you in recent times in Scotland. Because I was saying this to somebody a while ago, and I think people have obviously like become more and more aware in recent times, like terms of like other comics and stuff. But I was saying to somebody, like, I was probably about this time last year, I was like, like Stuart Mitchell is like low key the most successful comic in the country, and now it's just not as low key. But like, I mean, you've been absolutely smashing it, man.
Yeah, it has been. I think since the last time I was on this podcast, things have moved really quickly, and certainly the algorithm has been a lot more favoured towards my clips in terms of upping the production on them, getting a team around me as well. So I've built a team now where I've got like head of production, my own cameraman, and
Scotland's Kevin Hart here, man.
I know,
Bloody hell.
just trying to just do everything as much as possible to sort of step back from the day-to-day activities. They get engrossed in emails, etc., etc. And it's interesting because I think when I first started out, I wanted everything. Like, I wanted everything when I had nothing. And I think now you've got everything in terms of what you wanted. You get to a sort of state where you don't really need it. And I mean that by, if I lost it all tomorrow, I would just get back in the stage again and just try and build myself up. And I think that's the mindset that I've got now, where I'm just enjoying what I'm doing for the very first time. I only gave up my job in February. Like, I was working full time. Like, I was doing a full-time job. Yeah. I loved it, but just juggling everything. And ironically, since I gave up my job in February, I would say I've progressed more in that 6 months than the past 15 years.
Is that right?
Aye.
And, well, I'm curious to know whether that's in terms of the growth, in terms of like your following online or comedically or both, because the way I see it, Stuart, is that like, because I've always really admired your work ethic when it came to like, you're a gag writer, like you're a proper gag writer, and you would sit and you would fucking smash it out when you do like breaking the news or your obviously your own shows, and you were always so methodical and analytical with it. And to me, from the outside, it seems like you've taken that approach that you would have to writing, and you've put it into putting out your content online, and obviously now you're seeing the dividends. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I think, but that sort of goes against you as well, because you maybe focus away from the writing and the performance and focused on the business. So that's why building that team around me is now allowing me to go back to that gag writing and building up the new material, really. But I would say, so I've always had, in my previous job, I had a team of 10. So I was managing a team of 10, quite a high level position, good salary in the charity sector. And I've just tried to keep that mentality as a comedian.
Wow.
In terms of the business side of things. And I think just seeing it from a comedian's point of view, in terms of with the new comedy club, for example, looking
so
to see...
So this is at Blackfriars?
Aye, so taking downstairs at Blackfriars, for example, and really looking... I mean, I hate to go back to this, but the pandemic really hit me in terms of, I felt as if, look, you're on this on your own, never get any funding, wife never get any funding, really desperate, doing track and trace every day to try and get extra income in.
Yeah.
And I think doing a lot of the charity stuffs to save live comedy, and you knew that certain sort of clubs or organisations were walking away with tens of thousands of pounds and you were getting 50 quid. Right. And that just didn't seem right to me. And I think it's very important for me to be sharing in my success. Mm-hmm. So as I grow, the comedians grow in Blackfriars, the fees grow. I think you can only take and earn so much before it just gets a bit greedy. And bearing in mind, I don't take the bar either. So I've only got 130 seats, but I'm still the highest paying club in the UK. Which I feel is the right thing to do, and that all comes back in a circle as well, I believe.
100%. Well, I've done your shows at Blackfriars, like Stuart Mitchell and Friends one, and I just said to you before we started recording, but it has not gone unnoticed by any comics. In fact, it's often mentioned now how good the fees are to do your shows. And like I was saying to you a while ago, it's like you've just basically, and this is before you're actually taking over the weekends at Blackfriars, but I was like, you've just became a comedy club because you're selling so many tickets every weekend. You're filling clubs the way that comedy clubs do, and actually more so for a lot of them. And so the fact that you're sharing that out, man, it's great, because like I said, like I think we done the last time I done it was like we done 4 shows in a day. It's crazy, and like you're paying folk good money, so you're like, this is a fucking brilliant, and it's in Glasgow and everything. So like,
I think it's funny because everybody wants to be your pal now. But on a serious note, like everybody wants to meet up and all that and stuff. Are we still alright for that coffee on Wednesday?
Fucking right, as long as you're getting some gigs and that.
But I think, do you know what's funny about it? Like so I used to work in banking for my sins, then moved into the charity sector.
Yeah.
And I was that person you had to network with people and sort of drop the odd text, and it is interesting how many people are getting in touch. Can I do your club? Can I do your club? And some of them it's not even hello, it's can I do your club? And you think, come on. Well, but
it might give you some empathy for comedy clubs actually then, given what they must fucking get.
So there's a lot of that, but no, can't complain in terms of the comedy clubs looking good. They're selling really well, so that's the main thing, and it's all down to the lineups. But I think for me, it's given people the opportunity in terms of my audience as well. I'm like, look, 100%. You're coming to see me. These guys are amazing. Go and see them at the Fringe. Go and see them at the Glasgow Comedy Festival. And it's just given individuals a showcase that maybe I never got starting out, which is fine.
Totally.
I mean, and also the clips. I think the biggest thing is giving them their clips. So look, this is all 4K multi-camera. You go and do what you want with it. You don't have to pay for it. You take it away, and it's worked for a lot of people in terms of having that footage as well.
Aye. So I suppose, and you can delve into this as much or as little as you want, I suppose. But like for folk that are curious, how did you manage to ramp up since the last time we spoke to you on the pod and stuff like that? What is it you've done specifically? Because obviously a lot of comics, put their clips out on social media and all that now. But it feels like there's a consistency and a volume to what you've done. And also, would it be fair to say, like, because it's probably that type of thing wouldn't have always came naturally to you, being a kind of gag writer and stuff like that. So what is it you have done that has got you kind of here in terms of what do you think it is that separated you from other comics or try to do the same thing? Yeah,
I think for me, so I film every performance. So if I say to somebody, what is it they do, and I don't have an answer, I record it and I make sure I've got an answer for the next time. So I've literally got a book where I've got gags in every profession.
Wow.
So that takes me a lot of time as well to go through that.
Yeah.
I think the 2 clips a day has really helped.
So was that the thing?
Yeah, so I went from 4 clips a week to 1 a day to now 2 a day. And that's made I need to then bring on obviously the cameraman. I've got a head of production as well now who looks after the production of clips. I always do the time stamping. So that's a non-negotiable for me.
Yeah.
In terms of a timestamp that goes to editing, they all get scheduled. And I think the just really the more MCing I'm doing, I feel as if I'm getting better. I hated MCing. I was terrified of it. I mean, you'll know when I just stuck to script.
Well, I remember even when the first times I would host, and all I would be doing when I was asking someone in the audience a question was trying to figure out a way to shoehorn in a bit of my pre-prepared, like the material I had, because I just didn't know how to do anything but material.
Yeah,
but it's a totally it frees you up a lot when you can
does.
just sort of get laughs. You're going, I come up there and I didn't actually do a gag or a pre-written joke, and I was getting laughs for 20 minutes, half an hour.
And it's making it feel as natural as possible. And I've stopped drinking before gigs as well. I wasn't much of a drinker, but I never drink before gigs. I feel I'm really fresh mind and
you get sharp,
a lot sharper in terms of that. And really just, I think for me, it is whole being this huge analytics behind. So I know from Q codes who's come through. I know from clips who's come through Facebook, who's come through TikTok. I know the average age of my audience is 51. So I know a lot of analytics about the mailing list is up to nearly 30,000.
Well, that's I think a mailing list in this day and age for a comic is like the be all and end all, because obviously like you put your stuff on social media and you have X amount of followers, whatever, but you put up a post going, all right guys, I'm in fucking whatever tonight, and as they get shown empty, but you put that email out and they're getting it.
Yeah, and I think I've always been loyal to Blackfriars, but I've branched out now, so I'm back in doing gigs at the Stand.
Yeah.
I'm doing Monkey Barrow in Edinburgh. I'm doing the Pleasance Theatre. I'm doing Bad as well.
And your own tour shows,
and
obviously.
And my own tour shows. We're doing Banter at the Pavilion as well. So these are all products that I'm bringing through in terms of so people have got a range of products that they can see in terms of they're coming to see a bit of me, but they're also seeing other comics that they've maybe not seen before. Absolutely. And that seems to be working really well.
No, mate, it's amazing. Like, and it's just so good. Like, so when did you feel like, you know, when did you feel it was really taking off for the crowd work clips and stuff like that then?
So it's all about, for me, consistency. So there's one thing getting a viral clip, but I would rather get consistently 50 to 100,000 views per clip than one viral clip. And I think the algorithm likes that. If you're consistently posting, not just once, but twice a day, then you're going to be in favour. You're going to be pushed in front of a lot more viewers, and you're gaining their attention, really. And I think that's what's been the big thing for me. And also, you only see 10% of the clips that I cut, because I've got the final say in what goes out.
Aye.
So per show, I've maybe got 5 or 6 clips, but you'll only see one of them. And the rest of them are all sort of in the scrapyard.
Interesting. But I mean, the volume of it, and because like you obviously, is this sort of self-sustaining model thing now, because you're obviously doing these shows, you're filming them, you're putting out the content for these shows that then feeds selling tickets for the next one, because like I'd spoke to you obviously at the end of last year about what you were doing and stuff, and I put out some of my own stuff like at the start of this year. But I ran out of clips. I had like loads, basically everything I'd hosted for 2024, and I put out them, and that probably just lasted 3 months, and that was me done. But so like, you know, basically most comics just don't have that amount of footage. And obviously the other thing I noticed as well that I think was different, because the way you're filming it a very specific way. You see, you've got a cameraman there every gig, you get your own lights you bring in and stuff like that, and I think the quality of the footage as well helps, and obviously the way you're tracking it and stuff like that. And so again, it's just like, but most people aren't putting in that that kind of finer details that you're doing to get it there, and then obviously just as you say, I guess it's just that volume and consistency.
And I think you need to invest in people and equipment. So that's where, I mean, the reason I could give my job up in February this year is because 50% of my salary I was getting from the charity was getting pumped in to reinvest in my career.
Yeah.
So I was buying the best equipment. I was buying sort of the talent to edit the clips, and
because that's because not everybody can afford to hire somebody to do their clips and to do them selling this kind of stuff. And
but I guess I did that for a long time. So I cut my own clips, put them up, and then I was putting money aside to make sure the bigger picture I would have someone to do that for me.
Yeah.
So it was consistently growing, and I think that's where I'm at the stage now. So by the end of this year, I've done over 500 shows.
Amazing.
So that just shows you in terms of the footage that we're getting.
100%. And by the way, you must have gigged to like a good fucking percentage of like the Scottish public by this point, because the amount of tickets you're selling and all these shows you're doing, like, there's got to be about half the fucking country seen you by now.
Yeah, I think the press release for the tour, it said, so I've sold more tickets in Glasgow than Lewis Capaldi, Beyonce and Rod Stewart. which is mad in terms of, but I do say Glasgow. I do say Glasgow, but yeah, there's been a huge.
I'd love to see Beyonce with that Colombo fucking picture in the background.
But there's people that come.
Any single ladies?
Exactly. We'll see about that. My wife watches this, so we'll not touch on that. But so no, it's all going well, and I mean the goal is not just to stop at Glasgow. I mean, to hopefully one day we'll get guest hosts in. And I can maybe look at another branded club in Edinburgh as well. So,
wow.
So that's the plan in terms of growing.
World domination.
Well, not quite outside Scotland, I don't think. But
well, that's an interesting thing because you're selling tickets all over the country and Scotland. Like, have you found it's no been as much down south? Do you think there's something about the algorithm, maybe even just the accent and all that kind of stuff as well, that like it's kind of like you're one of yours kind of thing, and then it's like obviously there's like say your Paul Smiths and whatever down south that do around the country, but do you think is it been more of a concentrated Scottish thing?
I think I personally never gonna get, I guess it's like audiences that big stars up here, in terms of you're never gonna get more support across the board than you do in your home country.
Yeah.
But even then, like selling 400 plus tickets in London for my first tour and selling out Manchester, Newcastle Stand and all these places. Brilliant. And it's all come for the clips.
Yeah.
And I think that's when we started the tour. I mean, I don't even know if I mentioned the tour when I was last on, but we started at 18 dates and we went up to 96.
Fucking hell.
And then just decided that they added a third armadillo date as well.
That's amazing.
So it's amazing, but for my stress levels, not so much. And I think I've always taken advice on board more now as well, because I remember, I'll not name names, but someone at the BBC who I went in said to me, look, you're the same as all these other individuals. You don't have a social media profile. And at the time I was thinking, who are they to say that? And then I actually went away, and that was the kicking point for me to really go for the clips. And then sort of that's all come round full circle now, and I'm sort of hosting Hogmanay for Scotland Stands Up.
Scotland Stands Up.
And that I never thought I would ever sort of see that. But the audience, for me, the audience don't lie. If you, and I know it's an old cliche, you've got a phone in your hand, just if you're, I find it really hard to believe in my head that if somebody really wants this, they can get it. I'm not saying I've made it, but I'm progressing.
You fucking...
Aye, I'm progressing.
You have made it, Stuart.
I mean, you should never confuse success with happiness, and I'm the happiest I've ever been. That's the main thing. But if you really want something, the tools are there to go and get it. You know? And there's no really any excuse now in terms of building your own audience. Absolutely.
And I would say with that, like, because I would say I'm still in a place where I'm trying to figure out what's the best, you know, vehicle for me to kind of go forward. Because, like, you know, as I said earlier on, like I tried kind of doing some of the crowd work stuff. Obviously we've been doing the pod. It's going great. Like, I love doing it, and obviously, like, the fact that we've got an audience and the stuff we've done with it has been unbelievable. But, like, you know, like, it's not like making a massive difference financially or whatever, and you're kind of going, so, you know, you go something else, and the stand-up, obviously, you know, you keep going with that. But, like, I'm trying to figure out some other ways. I've got a few ideas of other online stuff I'd like to do. Obviously, sometimes it's finding the time to do that as well when you're already doing a couple of things. But I think it's sometimes you just need to try and find your niche a wee bit. And because I remember in COVID, and you were doing the kind of like almost like the kind of news sort of John Stuart style of stuff, and probably had a few. So was there a few kind of things you tried like that before you kind of fell on what you've
I think
up?
For me it was Brews at 10 it was called, and it was like me with a tea at 10 o'clock, and sort of tried that, and that's when I got into sort of filming and editing and cutting clips, and that's what done me well in terms of doing my own stuff after everything opened up again. So
Did you at any point before the crowd work clips took off sort of think, if this doesn't work, did you have something else in mind, or did you just kind of go, I'm just going to go all into this?
I think for me the filming and the clips was like the final straw for me, in terms of I felt that obviously I had a family, just got through COVID, spent all my savings, by the way, if not more.
Yeah.
And that's why I probably had to keep on that full-time job as well. I don't know what it is. I think everybody in the industry seemed to think I came for money. And it was never the case. In terms of, I've always
worked in a bank where they had money.
I just worked in the bank and lost it all, and then left. Financial crash came and I was out of there.
Yes,
but yeah, I think I've always been a grafter and always had to really work for, and I've always done well. Like, I've always done well wherever I've worked. I've put the shifts in and I've managed to sort of move up. And I think that's what. At the time I was getting frustrated because I felt as if I was doing well, I was performing well, but I just wasn't the flavour of the month or the flavour of the year. And that's fine. So I went off and did it another way. And now, ironically, those that maybe overlooked me are coming back. Because I know, I hope this doesn't come across bad, but I don't feel now live at the Apollo is a good fit for me, because I feel as if I've almost bypassed that. And I don't feel... I hope that doesn't come across bad, but maybe 60, 70,000 people watch live at the Apollo. My clips get 10 million views a month.
Yeah.
And it's almost, I mean, if they came in, I'd take it.
Absolutely, no, of course.
I feel as if I've made that little jump now, in terms of I've got a direct market to my own audience, and I'm doing my own thing. And my agent's been very, what would I say? He's been very good as well to say, look, that comedy club and that is all that's your business.
Great.
So you go on and do that.
Yeah.
So that's been a real sort of positive as well.
Absolutely. And like, I think these days, like, you go where the audience is ultimately, and the audiences are on their phones. They're not watching the telly as much anymore. And that's what you've done. And you've had to do it all yourself. Look, we'd all love for it to still be the old days, and you get the call for the telly, and then that makes you a household name, and then you can tour, and everybody else does everything for you, and you can just focus on that. But that's not the world we live in anymore. And I think recognising the lay of the land with that, and then having the attitude, rather than being like, oh well, fucking, you know, because you could always go in, like, obviously, you know, we've all had a version of that, like, your face doesn't fit, there's a million people like you, and people can go and get bitter about that and blame this, that and the other. We all know what that is. Or you can go, we'll do something about it. And like, certainly even with the pod, I was just a bit like, because if you pitch this to, like, you know, a channel or whoever makes it, you go, oh, it's just a couple of guys talking shite about this. But I knew there was a niche in the market for that. This thing didn't really exist in Scotland as much at the time. And so I thought, I've just felt people will like this, and we're funny and all that. So you start it, and then, you know, before you know it, you're there. But yeah, it must be a gratifying feeling to get them kind of coming back round, because you have absolutely done it. You need to make yourself big enough that they then come to you, because they now need you more than you need them, really, effectively.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a few sort of bigger things that are coming as well that I can't say anything about, but it's definitely gone full circle in terms of individuals and commissioners, etc., and production companies coming in. And that's great, you know. And now I'm at a stage as well where I look through my diary and I'm like, that's my daughter's birthday, she's off summer holidays, we're taking that as her wedding anniversary, and I'm going through, and now I'm really dictating in terms of when I'm working, and it works out great. Like, the best thing I ever done was put on an afternoon show. My audiences love to come out, have a show, go for lunch, get home.
Brilliant.
See the 8:30 show. I think, again, hope I'm not being controversial, I think now the weekend mixed bill is a dying industry. I think your general public want to see a name, whether that's on the telly, on TikTok and Facebook. I think mixed bills will really struggle where there's no a name in the bill.
Interesting.
And I think the future is going down this streaming, online, YouTube, TikTok. Nobody's really watching television anymore.
Yeah. It's a funny one, isn't it? And even we had Phil Ellis on the other week, and he was up doing the Glee weekend while he's on Taskmaster, which is the biggest telly show, and I was like, it's a funny world, isn't it, we live in now, because there's probably more comics touring than ever.
Yeah.
And certainly somebody like myself finds myself in this weird position where I can play a decent amount of people in Glasgow. I've done a wee tour in the summer, which was enough to make me go, I can't leave the clubs yet. So I'm in this sort of thing. You need to do the club gigs every week, but I could earn a lot more money if I just put on a few shows in Glasgow and sold them out myself. But you want to keep your hand in, and you still have this weird sort of, I need to earn my stripes thing. And you want to keep the diary full and all of this sort of stuff. That's the anxiety, and that must be why it's good to be able to, pick your own. You've got luxury. You can just say, no, I'm not taking that weekend because, you've got personal stuff on. Most comics can't do that because you go, well, that's my work for the weekend. I need to fucking, I need to be earning money and all the rest of it.
And I think for me, there's two ways. You either do the audience interaction or you put out material. Now, there's no way in terms of you can write, if you can't write a new 2-minute clip in a week and go out to an open mic and record it and put it out, and then if that does well, put out another one, then start MCing and then building up. It's doable, and I think the audience interaction is exactly and people will say, oh, all you do is go up, mask what they do and where they're from, but I'm good at it now. I was no good at it 6 months ago.
Yeah.
But I feel as if I'm being original in terms of my answers, and I'm going different places to where anyone would go. And my old sort of and still mentor Raymond Mearns, like he'll say the difference between you now and 6 months ago, and hearing that off him, because normally he's telling you how shite you are.
Oh, absolutely. And not to mention the fact that Raymond's such a fucking improvisational genius himself.
I mean, he is. I mean, I look at him and he'll admit to me, and he'll say that if he put the effort I put in, he would be a superstar. Do you know? I mean, he would be absolutely up there in terms of everybody. But he's happy. And that's the main thing. He's happy what he's doing, and where I'm happy is I'm never settled. I'm always looking for the next thing.
Yeah.
So I'm looking to see, right, how can we go a step further here? How can we we're looking at increasing the capacity at Blackfriars as well.
Amazing.
We're looking at introducing the green room, etc. So there's lots going on.
Let me put a couple of things to you in terms of the crowd work things, right? First of all, and this is sort of an instinct I got when I was putting the stuff out. Again, it's hard to say because maybe it's just a case of you've not done it enough and you've not tried it, whatever. But part of me felt maybe the people that follow my stuff or whatever, maybe it was like they just weren't really wanting it for me. And there was also a sense as well that, like, and I think a lot of comics say this, whether or not it's true or not, that they feel that the crowd work thing's a bit oversaturated now. Now, obviously, that's not going to affect somebody like yourself because people are so used to seeing it and that's what they expect. And you're one of the people that, they get that from. But I guess, it's going to be a kind of like, there'll be a small percentage of people that it will really hit with, and then everybody else, it's kind of like, well, I suppose it's almost like what that commissioner said to you, is like everybody else, the audiences are looking and going, well, you're just like all those other ones, and I don't know your name, but I know Stuart Mitchell and I know Paul Smith or whatever. Like, so do you think there is a point where people did you ever worry about people getting sick of the crowd work stuff or anything like that? Or
yeah, no, I think again the audience don't lie, and you can't hide funny, and the algorithm will pick up on it. So if you've got an absolute banger of a left turn in the first 3 seconds, you're getting picked up.
Yeah.
If you're no writing lines or having a think about where you could go, if you don't get a laugh, then you'll start dropping down the algorithm and your clips will be all right.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't want my clips to be all right. They're the ones that don't make it. Do you know?
Absolutely. And I guess most people aren't putting that level into it, and certainly I don't think I barely would imagine there's any people that are doing crowd work stuff that've got like a fucking book of jokes the way you were saying earlier on. The other thing with that, I suppose, is it's interesting because obviously on the tour, so like when we've done the Stuart Mitchell and Friends show, you go, you compare, you talk to the audience, you bring us on, we do a 20-minute set, and there's a couple of acts. When you're on tour, you're doing, like, obviously you do the crowd work, but you do your hour. Is there like, do you feel the audience expectations are different from, like, when you would do the Fringe or something, they would expect an hour? Like, do you think that when you're not doing the crowd work stuff, there's any sort of, are they surprised, or is it fine?
Yeah, I think for me the tour was all about giving people something that they expected. So that's why the opening 20 to 25 minutes, maybe up to half an hour, is all audience interaction. Now, you're never going to get the same experience in a theatre, 1,500 people, or the SEC Armadillo or whatever, than you do in 130 tight, packed Blackfriars. That's not going to happen because the chemistry isn't there and they aren't right on you. Despite that, we still have a laugh, still get good clips, and then we have a break, and then the hour show, as I say, it's the guy behind the clips. This is what maybe you might know me for my missing fingers, which we've not even touched on, by the way. I think that for me is a great USP selling point. Until somebody told me Dave Allen used to have no fingers. I remember that starting out. But in all seriousness, that's like
cutting them off on purpose was the best decision you ever made, Stuart.
Exactly. So I think that's the USP for me, which we sort of never touched on. I think that does definitely help. It doesn't go against me, but I think with the tour show, I've made sure that hour is as tight as it can be. It's basically a rehash in my first Edinburgh hour that I felt never get seen as much as I would like.
And absolutely, and there's an entire audience you've tapped into now who never seen it the first time round, so fucking why not?
And it's changed. It's a lot sort of gag heavy now as well, and tighter, and a lot's progressed. I've brought my sort of with my daughter and my wife, etc. So that's all new in the show. But I feel, and of course you get criticised with certain reviewers to say, oh, if this is and you think, I don't even read them, do you know?
No.
I don't even
Well, you're
read
beyond
them now.
caring at this point, because I think I always say as well is it's like, look, there's very, very few people anywhere who get both commercial and critical success. And look, if you're fucking killing it with one, like, it goes back to what you're saying about you want everything. You can never have everything.
No.
So you fucking take what you take, and if you do, as long as you're happy with the stuff, the audience are laughing, and like you say, they're the people that you need to go to most. Then, like, who gives a fuck? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think for me the show's been really personal to me, and it's been therapy as well. Like, it's some talking about your mum and dad passing away for 96 shows. Is something, but it's been really good to get that story out. The amount of messages you get as well afterwards, which is really nice.
Totally, man.
Just sort of reaffirms why you did it, and there's a lot of poor souls there that take a lot from it, which is good. But then you're just thinking of the sequel now, like everything in terms of where you're going to go. I'm actually, do you know, I enjoy just doing traditional stand-up now. And I've done the theme show, it's worked really well. Will I do another one like that? I don't know. To me, the audience is going to dictate that. If I go up and start talking about working in end-of-life care and the 7 lessons of life, and they're just looking straight through me, then that's not happening.
But you can go up and you can just talk. You can just do an hour of straight stand up, and you know, as I say, like, you know, great gag writer, the rest of it. You can have a punchy hour of great stuff, and everybody will be leaving buzzing. So,
well, it's interesting you mentioned, like, I'm doing a show, Probe Me at the Pleasance, which is my new Edinburgh show, and it's basically the audience asking me questions. So we do a half an hour of audience interaction, and then I take questions for the audience and I answer them. And again, it's a new format show, and it seems to be selling well. And this is what I'm really keen to do, is build in new show formats in terms of what does the show look like. We've got Stuart Mitchell and Friends, we've got Stuart Mitchell and Festive Friends, we've got Stuart Mitchell on the road, which is every Thursday we go on the road around Scotland. So you're booking the acts for a Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Amazing.
And makes them worth their while. We're possibly taking out the 8:30 show so they can get home on the Saturday night as well. So one extra cost for the hotel. but it then I can, and I know it sounds a bit cheesy, but if my show finishes at 7:30, I get to go and sit with my wife and daughter on a Saturday night and watch the usual shite that you do, you know?
That's the dream, man. Alright guys, just a reminder that we are on Patreon. For as little as just £3 a month, you can sign up and get access to an extra episode once every 2 weeks. That's myself and the boys primarily, chewing the fat, etc. If that's your kind of thing. We also have all the previous live shows up on there, including some behind the scenes footage. First dibs on tickets for live shows, etc. We, as you can maybe tell from the hat I'm wearing, also have merch on sale. The Some Laugh hats, scarves and the flags. Well, we don't have any of them, but we do have hats, caps, we do have t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, etc., tote bags, and whatnot. They're available through the Visual Antics website. You can get your hands on the Some Laugh merch, which the links will be in the description. And we will also be selling some of our merch at our upcoming live show on the 15th of December. That's at the Stand Comedy Club in Glasgow. At time of recording, there's still a few tickets remaining for that, although they may well sell out by the time this is out. But if you haven't snapped them up already and there is still any left, do get them sorted for yourself. So I believe that is about it for the moment. You can also buy tickets to see me at the King's Theatre in Glasgow this coming March, the 20th of March. It's a Friday evening in the King's Theatre in Glasgow. So I'll hopefully see you there. I think that's everything to plug for now. So thanks so much for tuning in as ever. Hopefully see you in the Patreon, see you at a live show, maybe see you at the King's. And aside from that, enjoy the rest of the episode. We sort of brushed over it before we get a wee bit more into that type of stuff and maybe what's next. Like, so you obviously mentioned, so you're doing 3 nights at the Armadillo.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable, man.
Aye, so we're doing 3 nights at the Armadillo. So we've nearly sold the third one. They were pushing to do but we're not doing a fourth.
Right.
I think
just leave for the next tour.
I think for me to do one, I would have been amazing.
Yeah.
And then we've sold obviously the second and then the third, and you're thinking, but I'm never happy. I should have booked the hydro.
Well, that's it. Well, 3 is basically a full hydro.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Which is unbelievable.
I mean, next time I'll be definitely booking the hydro in the next tour.
Wow.
I think I would love to do that.
You've been the first Scottish stand-up since Bridges to do that.
To do the hydro.
Nobody's done it, their own show as a stand-up.
Okay.
So you would be the next guy.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a dream. So 2026 is already booked. So all my shows are booked for then in terms of the Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, Pleasance.
And is this where you would work up the new show?
Aye. So the plan is to work up the new show, look to go on tour 2027. So that's a 2-year gap.
Yeah.
Stuart Mitchell and Friends on the Road's doing very well in terms of how that's selling. So we'll see.
And where are you going with that?
So we're going everywhere from Eden Court up Inverness all the way down to sort of Dumfries.
And is it theatres like Eden Court?
Yeah, so it's Eden Court. We just sold out. So we don't have Dundee until May, I think it is, and we've sold out 800 seats.
Mate, that is unbelievable, man. So it's crazy.
They're really selling. We're actually doing 5:30 shows in some venues. So 2 shows on a Thursday. And again, it's, as I've said to, I know it's sharing the wealth out and getting the very best comics.
Aye.
The only thing I'm sort of looking at now is how I bring newer comics through.
Yeah.
So looking at that sort of open spot in Blackfriars, maybe just doing a Friday where we bring in a 5 or a 10 spot.
Yeah.
I personally don't think open spots are as strong as when we started.
I'm sure everybody's always felt that way though, do you know what I mean?
I just felt tightness. I was so, my 5 and my 10 and the 15 and your 20, you were absolute boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
I think there's a more relaxed approach now, and I think with my audience love gags.
Yeah.
And if you've not got a left turn every
I tell you
seconds.
what, I really enjoyed all the shows. You need to keep your foot on the gas, is what I would say. You know, they're there to be there's no fanning about.
Aye.
You know, you've got to be.
Yeah. And they're very, my audience are very nice. There's been a few acts that have struggled and they've went with them. Do you know? They've been very nice and they've gone with them, and it's just no worked out, and it happens to us all, do you know?
Yeah, totally.
And to be honest, it can't be easy when it's Stuart Mitchell and Friends and they're maybe there to see me, and then the acts have got to go on. But so far, it's been great, and I set it up well in terms of the acts going on. So
no, mate, that's amazing. Like, because I mean, you're building a fucking infrastructure and a, you know, say like world domination, because it's like, and the fact that you're thinking along those lines, because, you know, most people, they get a bit of viral success, you know, you want to just do a tour, fucking, you know, like, do the biggest room you can do in happy days. But like the fact that I mean, the thing I've always sort of thought about, this was actually back when fucking Yes Bar was open, and it was, I remember when Hot Water and started putting out the clips and that, and I always thought it'd be great to have your own comedy club. You could sit and do the videos, and you could put that out, and that would be a self-sustaining thing. You could build an audience to come, and you've basically now done all that at Blackfriars, and now you're taking over as a club. So the fact you're doing all that's amazing, but then, as you say, it just helps everybody else in the circuit, and I think we need somebody like that as well, because whatever happens with the kind of the traditional circuit, it's, you know, if that is going to, you know, it's certainly the nature of everything's changing. So we do need somebody like yourself, because sometimes when people obviously do get a bit viral, whatever, you just never see them anymore.
Yeah.
So the fact that there's somebody like yourself that's doing so well there, but is able to help everybody out, is amazing.
Yeah, and I think Chris at Blackfriars as well has been a massive support to me, and the team there are incredible in terms of how they run the shows and how they've supported me to grow. And we've all grown together, and that's the cameraman's grown with me, the head of production's grown, the strategy guy, the clips guy, and it's just it's taken everyone in that journey with you and sort of fighting to make sure that you can put the very best out there as well.
100%. So tell me a wee bit about like just what maybe you feel you have learned in the last 6 months in terms of like with the crowd work, stuff like that. And was there ever shows where you were coming out going, fuck man, like, you know, because when you're up there with a net and you're just talking to them, like, you know, a lot of time they go for it, sometimes they don't, and you kind of go like, is there been any ropier moments or anything like that?
I think for me, well, a woman pissed herself in the front row.
Did she?
Aye, so that clip never went out for her own. So
that's the best endorsement you can get.
Exactly. So I think that was the only strange one. I think we had that. We had a guy who was sort of dressed in Rangers red, white, and blue. He looked like an Aquafresh toothpaste. So he was some banter, and I think what's happening now is it's never heckling. They just feel as if they know me so well. They like to join in the conversation, and that's fine with me. But as I say to them, when the acts are on, respect, and that's always crowd control, and I'm really good at that. But I think where I've come from in the last 6 months is I'm a very big believer in just being in the moment.
Yeah, going with the flow.
Going with the flow, being in the moment. And that works on stage in terms of being in the moment, and not in the career as well. Like I might have said that I've booked 2026. That's sort of someone else's sort of job who's been doing that for me. And for me, it's literally just been in the moment. Like football managers will say, don't worry about the cup final, just focus on the next match.
Next game.
And that's really what I'm trying to take on board.
And take it as it comes. Well, there's a weird time you mentioned this, but I was going to ask, what is next for you, or what is so obviously the hydro would be an amazing fucking one, and that would be like an absolute, you know, bucket list for many a comic, particularly for Scotland. Is there anything that you think, or maybe you used to think, oh, that would be great to do, and then never maybe thought would happen, that now you're starting to think, fuck, maybe these opportunities could happen? What kind of stuff would you like to do? Is it going to the States? Is it hosting fucking a telly show? What the fuck would it be?
So I think for me, the next thing is obviously with the venues for the next tour. Instead of doing 96 dates, it would be doing the P&J Live in Aberdeen, doing sort of bigger venues, Dundee, the big concert hall in Perth, etc., the Playhouse in Edinburgh. Mm-hmm. So that's the sort of plan for the next tour. Wow. And then I would like to crack America if it was the right sort of offer. So I've sort of turned down Middle East, Australia, etc., because family is very important to me. I mean, I know I've spoke about this before. My dad worked extremely hard. Maybe never saw him as much as we would like, and then my dad was all about, we'll do this when we retire, and then unfortunately at 61 he never got to do that. So there is a point in terms of I've already decided when I'll be stepping back, which I won't be sharing, but sure. I think for me, I want to get to a certain level before I do that, and then really enjoy the years that unfortunately my mum and dad never got.
Yeah, totally, mate. And
and what a way to end.
Well, I don't know. We're not quite done yet. You're well on your way, mate. And I think even like, you know, because I remember when I would start out, right, and you would listen to famous comics talk about how they would work up an act, right? And it'd be like, you know, fucking Louis C.K. or something like that. And they would talk about, you know, going on the road and working on the act for a while. And then, or you would see like Kev or Frankie doing their work in progresses at the stand. And I remember thinking like, oh God, imagine being able to just go out to the stand, which was like at the time is like, you know, you're trying to get in there, this comedy club, and you're going, and there's plenty 200 people, and this is a warm up, and you're going, oh my God, because they're playing the fucking arena, but that is a luxury. See the opportunity to be able to just to gig so much that you can work on stuff, and you've got enough of an audience that you can sort of test their patience, for want of a better word, and try out stuff and basically have a place where you can fail, because that's the thing with stand-up. It's a lot of trial and error. It takes a lot of failure to succeed, but you need those gigs, that stage time, those audiences, to be able to work up to the point where you can get it to a certain level where you're in a big room, you film it, and it's good enough to put out there and all of that. And I guess obviously then, so between tours now, I guess you've got that infrastructure there at Blackfriars where you can come on, do the audience stuff, and I'm assuming you'll be trying new jokes and working it up, which again, having built all that yourself, man, is an amazing thing to do. But you put yourself in this position where you've got a path laid out where you just put in the work, you've got the gigs, and then there's your next show.
And I think for me, that's where I maybe differ from big acts. And what I'm trying to do is, like, you'll have Jimmy Carr's an exception, which we'll maybe touch on, but I think with Kevin and Frankie and then John Bishop and Peter Kay, etc., they'll obviously tour. They'll do stuff in between. They might do a show and then they'll come back and do warm-ups and work in progress before they go and tour again. With me, I want to be gigging every weekend, every Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'll be gigging so that I'll be building consistent material up, so that when I go on that tour, it's the best hour it can be, rather than, I don't think I could take a break.
So because I remember, I think Bridges had said in his book or something like that at one point, he was like, I think he just took a year off for stand-up at some point. I mean, to be fair, that was probably after like 10 years that he'd been gigging since he was like 12 or whatever. But you wouldn't want to do that?
No, I would never want to take any time off. I think I'll keep going until I decide I'm stepping back completely. But
and would you then just sort of run the gigs if they're still going, and if when you step back?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what my daughter might want to end up doing, but
totally.
I think I would still step back, but run the venues.
Brilliant
as well. But Jimmy Carr's a great example. I mean, he'll put 5 minutes in new gigs in every week, if not every show. And he's just consistently churning out stuff. He's
always putting out crowd work stuff, and it's always topical and all that. And then, because I noticed a while ago, him and Bridges does this as well, and like they were all building up YouTubes, and you're going, oh, these guys are like, you're like, they don't really need this. But obviously the way everything's going, again, you go where the audience is, they're building up a YouTube channel, and then they get fucking 500,000 fucking subscribers or whatever, and then suddenly that's another big massive thing. Not only are they a kind of established telly act, but you're also got a big fucking massive YouTube channel that probably these days brings in more revenue and eyeballs and all the rest of it.
Absolutely. But I think now there's space for everybody. I think people with disposable income, they'll ease. This is again why I think the Mixed Bill show struggles, because even 15 years ago people were saying they would rather, I don't know who said it, but somebody would say, look, rather than go to, I don't know, a comedy club 4 times a year, they would rather spend that 50 quid and go and see a big name once a year.
Totally.
And I think that's, people would go and see myself and go and see Kevin and go and see someone else, and they'd maybe go to 4 tour shows or 4 tour shows. Can say like 4 tour shows a year, but yeah, I think that sort of scope, that's all changing really.
It's going to change. It's interesting because I've often felt like we're lucky with comedy that the weekend circuits exist, because that's something like if you're in a band or a musician, like you need to, if you're doing a gig, you need to sell the tickets yourself. People need to come and see you. Where people just don't go and see some music. And it's 3 different genres, you know, with a fucking host and a break, you know that. Whereas with us, it's like we could come up in that way where you could do those weekends in these comedy clubs, and people do just go out and see comedy. And I mean, for the moment, the audience are still there for what I can see in the circuit, but it does definitely feel like, and I think maybe comedy clubs have said this, or maybe it's a perception among comics that the weekend lineups aren't as good anymore, because a lot of the acts that would usually do them a headline or whatever are now touring and don't need to do it anymore.
Aye.
And
I think that's the danger though. If you're not paying the acts on the basis of how many seats you've got in that venue and what you're taking at the bar, and you've still been paying the acts the same, if not a tiny bit more, for the last 20 years.
Yeah. Totally.
And I think that's where I want to be completely different. And I've been open and honest with all the acts in terms of, look, you'll get this set amount and a hotel. And even just if you need a taxi home, we'll sort it, because the last thing you want is you want to get home safe. But I think there's all that stuff, and I think that's just doing the right thing, do you know?
Totally.
And it's ironic because I know I spoke about this in the other sort of episode. I was before my dad passed away, I was really bitter, and how they getting that and how they getting this. And now I'm just always so relaxed. I'm never worrying about external factors, and I'm just focusing on doing the best I can. And ironically, since I've done that, everything's come full circle.
It's changing attitude.
But everything's coming my way.
Yeah. Well, I think there is something to be said for, like, you know, the more positive and all that you're feeling, the more things come to you. Whereas, like, not when you're in a bad mood and you're stuck in traffic and all this. It's amazing the amount of bad stuff that keeps happening. And
it's like I done a gig recently, right? And I'll obviously not mention any names, but the dressing room was toxic.
Really?
And I sat there and I thought to myself, do you know, one thing I'm going to decide is when I run this comedy club, it doesn't matter how good you are as a comic, you're not getting in my club if you're just negative and everybody's getting it, do you know? And that's a decision I've made, because nobody wants that.
No.
And I think it's really sad, and it's really sad when you see that as well, in terms of just try and be the best version of yourself all the time, and you don't want to get into that in terms of that. And I think a lot of that is down to, there'll be a lot of mental health problems in the industry, because individuals.
That's usually how most folk get started.
Aye, exactly. I know. In terms of that mentality, is not going to do any good for your sort of mental health and well-being. And
that's true. Yeah. Well, comparison is the thief of joy, they say.
Yeah.
And which is hard for everybody, not just comics, because everybody's on social media and all you see is whatever anyone's doing. The way I've always thought about it is, right, like, say you're out with your partner, right, it's your anniversary, you're out for a lovely meal, you're having a great time, lovely night, right? And she goes to the bathroom, you're on your phone, and you see some of your mates are out on a night out, and you look at that and you go, I wish I was on that night out. But then they're on that night out and they look at their phone and they see a picture you posted with you and your missus, and they go, oh God, I wish I'd have missed
you. Say I shagged her. Look at him sitting there with her mover pumped up.
But you know what I mean? But
it's like every wedding you go to these days.
I mean, pretty much, yeah, exactly. So, do you know what I mean? But it's like, and it goes back to what you were saying earlier on about, like, you can't have everything. It's like, and like, you can be doing one thing, but in social media sort of always shows you what you've no got.
Aye.
And that puts you in that sort of mentality. And obviously when it comes to comedy and stuff like that, I mean, you look around and you see people, that build up their stuff and suddenly they go absolutely massive. Again, I'll be honest, like, in terms of like the podcast, like, again, we've been so lucky we've got out of it and the audience and all the rest of it. But there's people that are doing a lot better financially, numbers wise, all of that sort of stuff. And you're kind of plugging away and you're going, maybe it'll just be like that. You're just waiting on that trajectory. You're digging through that wee thing, trying to get the pot of gold and all this kind of stuff. And sometimes you go, fuck, I don't know if this is happening or whatever the fuck, But again, as you say, the worst thing you can do is go, oh God, those fucking got them because of this and the other. You've got to just kind of do your thing and have a bit of faith. But I think obviously that does get tested from time to time. When you do see other people who are smashing it with all kind of doing a similar, and we all do a similar thing. Like, I always thought one of the things about comedy generally that's mental is, like, there can't be many jobs where you effectively do the same thing, but there can be somebody that does it and they've got a Netflix special and they're touring the world, and they might not be that much better or worse or different for their pal who's just gigging in the clubs every weekend. And yet the disparity in income and lifestyle and everything is different. And that would drive you mad, because if you were a plumber and there's two guys, there's not that much difference in terms of what they're making.
I think
maybe there is, I don't know.
I think it can go against you as well, though, in terms of the short-term success in the industry, because if you don't have it to run off the back of that. And I think that's why it's worked so well for me, because I built up a lot of MCing experience with doing Blackfriars and then decided to up the clips. But I was very careful when I upped the clips to make sure I never ran out of material or audience interaction. But I've also had 15 years apprenticeship on the club scene. And I know how to write, I know how to put on a good hour show. So people are actually coming to the show thinking, God, I saw that clip online. And folk will say online, is that all it does? And you think, no, I don't, but you've got to buy a ticket for that.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what sells the product, and you can't, because then if you do put your material, you're burning it, and then they've heard it when they come and all that sort of stuff. But no, it's amazing, because it's funny just when you were saying that there, because I guess the tricky thing is now for new folks starting out is that they all see everybody having success online and they think they need to do that for the get-go. But like, God, when I think back now, I would have hated if there was anything for my first, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years of stand-up, because you're going just so bad and you're learning and all of that. Whereas now I think these guys and lasses all feel pressure to build up an online thing for the get-go, or they've built up something online but they've not had any live experience, which comes with its own challenges, because then you've got an audience before you've got an act, really.
And I think there's a lot of pressure put on acts as well from a diverse background. So a lot of acts for a diverse background are brought in as well, and they sort of sometimes are like they've been thrown in at the deep end,
given an opportunity before they've quite
made it, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's really sad, and we need to sort of look after those individuals, and that's another thing. Like, how well is the industry looking after people that have got that fame at that early stage and are really sort of panicking about how they're going to maintain that? I don't think that support's there for a lot of people as well.
But it's funny, but interesting. What I was thinking, like, and somebody that is maybe comparable, just in terms of the sort of the way it's panned out, is like, so I remember going to see a few years ago Finn Taylor. He was doing a show at the Leicester Square Theatre. Now Finn he'd always like been like he'd always had really good Fringe shows. I used to go and see him at the Fringe, and he'd done Live at the Polo, Have I Got News for You, and he was filming the show at Leicester Square Theatre, and I was there with Vittorio Angeloni, and it wasn't full. It's like 500 seats or something. It was a couple of hundred, but it wasn't full, and you couldn't have really done much more in terms of like having the sort of the traditional trajectory of success in the circuit and the Fringe and all of that in the UK. And Vittorio was saying to me that night, I always remember, he goes, me and Finn are working on some stuff, because he's realised that like this telly thing is no selling the tickets, which we could see evidence of. And fast forward a few years later now, he's got the fucking biggest podcast and one of the biggest in the country in terms of comedy, smashed up his own stuff and all that, doing that Finn versus Internet series and stuff. But again, he was somebody not dissimilar to yourself, because again, you've done these Fringe shows, fucking always been a great gag writer in the clubs, fucking, and breaking the news, all the rest of it. Even the Radio 4 series you've had, and at some point or another, you've obviously put the same realisation of like, I need to take this in my own hands, put the stuff online, build it that way, so as that I can stand out for me and the countless others that are like me, as that guy said to you.
Yeah, and I think, and you're totally right, and I know come the end of the tour, that best material is away.
Because you're filming, you're going to, you film them all, but you're going to put it out as a special or something, is that?
So there's something, I can't reveal it, but there is something in the pipeline.
Great.
So I think once that'll be getting sort of parked. So now I'm religiously writing, testing. What I'm getting better at now is banking.
Right.
So I'm testing it, banking it.
So once you know it works, you'll like just put it away.
Yeah, so I'll do it at one Blackfriars show, and I'll tweak it, and I might do it again, and then it gets sidelined.
Wow.
So I've just wrote a big routine on Paddington the musical. So that's just getting banked, and then so that's what I'm working on, a new sort of hour at the moment.
Amazing, man. And because I don't know, I think since we last had you on, you'd done that other Radio 4 series as well. Because you'd done the cost of living, and it was the cost of dying, is that right?
Yeah, so I did cost of living, and then I did cost of dying.
Yeah.
And then who knows, we might like, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, radio. Like, it's to write a whole sort of 2 hours, and then it's cut down to an hour and a half, and it's a lot of work. And I feel as if I've done that now. Do you know? I've done Radio 4. It was very well received. News quiz as well. I was a regular in the news quiz for a while. I'm very good at saying no to things now as well. Like, the reason I've done this, for example, is because it's local, and I like you and like the guys, but it's really, you really need to start to move the needle. You need to start saying no to things. Yeah. And I think for me, to do a news quiz and to do like breaking the news, it's a day writing, and then for me, being severely dyslexic, it takes me longer to learn it than it does to write it.
Yeah.
So very tough, and it's in the future deciding if that's the right platform for you.
I know, because that's the thing, and like, you keep yourself busy and stuff like that. But I think even I say earlier on, I was saying, like, I'm in this weird stage now where I'm like, you're saying yes to things, and like, I'm now in like all the clubs really that I wanted to be when a few years ago, when you're just trying to get into clubs. I've now got all those things, but then you're like, right, this isn't moving the needle, even financially. Certainly in terms of like, you're just traveling about, having city breaks in random cities, and you're kind of going, is this the best use of my time? Should I be trying something else? But like, you've got that thing in the back of your mind, as a comic, you need to keep your hand in there, you need to keep proving yourself and hoping it'll work out. But at the same time, you're going, well, would I be better just focusing more on some online shit or whatever the fuck?
See, what I would do in that situation is, I think you run a risk when you're doing these clubs that you have to always do your very, very best material. So the chances you slipping in new stuff, it's not going to happen. So, I mean, I would, if I was in the position now, I would be like I did. I would be managing on what I needed money-wise, financially, to get by, and I'd be going out to new material nights and running stuff.
Yeah.
And filming stuff, and trying to MC as much as possible, because I honestly think you either write material to go out, or you do audience interaction to go out, because I think that's the only way that you're going to move that needle.
Yeah.
In the current climate.
As a stand-up.
As a stand-up, yeah.
Unless you figure out, because I've thought about doing some like more kind of almost like a live stream, or I have tried in the past to do a few of those kind of things, like your Brews at 10 thing and all that. But it's you instinctively, probably both is like, probably you think that's kind of world of the bag that I quite like doing. And you can apply yourself and write stuff. So I don't know, I need to try a few more things, but to be honest, a lot of my time gets taken up doing this.
What time do you get up?
I could get up earlier. But you're often going to bed late.
Nah, you need to go to bed. So I'm up at 5 o'clock every day.
That's crazy.
So I get the most work done in my day between 5 and 9 o'clock.
This is the most diary of a CEO episode we've had, by the way, Stuart.
So I get up at 9, and I get most of my work done by 9 o'clock, and then I'll get up to give daughter breakfast, drop nursery. And and again, it goes back to this: how much do you want it? And I wanted it when the clip's done well. I says, look, these people are sort of coming on this journey with me, so I need to put on the best shows I can. And that's where I'm in my routine now, in terms of I get up at 5, I have a long lie like on a Monday, but most of the time I'm up at 5 o'clock, and I'm sitting at my desk typing away.
And you feel that also gives you the kind of life balance. So you've got enough time with your missus, your kid, and all that.
Absolutely, yeah. Wow, absolutely.
I do love a long lie, but
I mean, I sleep my bed in needles, so I need to go.
What's the most extravagant thing you've done since you started?
It's interesting.
Making money.
See, it's interesting because when I worked in banking, I had all these extravagant things, and it was the most depressed I'd ever been.
Wow.
I was down and out, and I was so sad as a person. So I don't really have anything extravagant. I mean, I'm taking my daughter on a Disney cruise.
Lovely.
And that's obviously extravagant, I guess, with sort of the cost of that. But again, it's all about experiences for me. I'm no into decent clays, or as you can tell, or fancy.
That's not even the new Scotland term.
Exactly. I know. £2 out of charity shop. It's a rider discount, I know. but yeah, I'm not into anything extravagant at all.
But just the experiences and probably valuing the time you can spend with your kid and stuff like that now.
Yeah.
That's amazing, man. Well, mate, I've got to say, it's been amazing to see what you've done, and I'm really happy for you because, as I say, I know how hard you work, and it's brilliant to see it pay off, and couldn't happen to a nicer guy as well. So, listen, more power to you, man. So, what have you got to plug, if anything?
Yeah, so I mean, everything's on stuartmitchellcomedy.com.
Yeah.
So that's all my weekend shows at Blackfriars. Final date at the SEC.
So is there a certain date, by the way, that you're officially kind of taking over Blackfriars?
So the first weekend in March,
right,
I'm officially taking over.
So through the Glasgow Comedy Festival?
Yeah, all the Christmas shows have gone. So sort of the first week in March is when we take over that club.
And that's every Friday, Saturday?
Every Friday, Saturday, and we're on the road on a Thursday.
Great.
But all the details are on stuartmitchellcomedy.com.
Some tickets left for the Armadillo third show?
Yeah, there's some tickets left for the third show.
Amazing.
Yeah.
When's the first one you're doing of that?
So it's the 28th of February.
Great.
Yeah, Old Firm game.
Oh, is it?
Aye.
Bloody hell. Well, good luck.
Exactly.
Amazing, man. Well, listen, check out Stuart if you haven't already. I'm sure probably you're getting more eyeballs to this week than we are for you. But no, listen, mate, thank you so much for joining us. You can obviously check out Stuart's previous episode with us where the guys joined us as well. And yeah, just as ever, please remember to like and subscribe on YouTube. Give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We do have a Patreon you can sign up to it as well for as little as £3 a month, get access to extra episodes or that type of thing. And aside from that, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in, and I'll speak to you very soon.